What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. So I had this video scheduled, and then Sully, one of my audience members, just brought it up last night. I thought it was quite interesting because ideally this is something that a lot of us are looking forward to. So Gotham Knights has a co-op element to it. It's one of those things where the game is bringing a unique take, and the co-op element is not like a lot of the other co-op elements. It's actually one of those where it's only two people literally that are going to be playing. Now, there was a little interesting thing with the PlayStation Store where they actually said something about 4 players or whatever, and people thought, oh no, this is going to be something where 4 people are going to be able to play. Is this a leak or whatever it is? But I think PlayStation Network went back and I think they tweaked that a little bit. So the big interesting thing is there going to be a cross-play functionality in Gotham Knights? And the answer is actually no. So let's go ahead and look at one of the questions that one of my audience members asked. So Sully asked and said, yo, VG, are you going to play Suicide Squad or Gotham Knights with subscribers? And I said, I'd like to, but I just don't know how many will prefer to play on PC. And, he said it sucks because, one of those things in terms of crossplay is something that he feels or that they should have gone with. And I think that would have been really nice for the game. But I think that's something that's a very core aspect of a game that you build from ground up. The conversation about crossplay is actually quite recent. So many games that were in development at the time that the conversation started with, Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony, did not necessarily implement it at their time of maybe say origins. Now, some games eventually in their life cycle went ahead and added it. But in the case of, say, Gotham Knights, I don't think the developers actually even really had the intention to do it. If I would even be honest with you, I think the co-op in Gotham Knights is something that maybe the executives or whoever were in charge that gave the mandates to make the game actually, in a sense requested that it will be a part of the game. Because if you think about it, a lot of co-op games were changing the market and changing the scene. And so I think somebody up there in the top brass wanted to kind of get a little bit of that, that pie, that co-op pie. And so I think there was a concession, we'll do a 2-player thing because Marvel Avengers went full blown. I'm going to charge you all this money after you paid, $60 for a full blown game. And that did not work out. So looking at it from this perspective, I think there is one middle ground solution that can actually be put in place that will unlock Gotham Knights for a lot of its players. And that's actually a cross-save functionality. Now, crossplay is kind of interesting. Yes, you have to kind of like set up the game to be able to be played on different servers. It's a little bit of a task. I remember talking with the associate creative director to the Division 2. He's now the creative director to Division 2 because the associate director is working on Star Wars at Ubisoft. I remember asking him a question on Twitter and saying, when are we going to be able to get something like this? Because the game has been, multiple years in its lifespan. I mean, you're talking about 3 years ago. And, he said one of the challenges with it is they have to go back and redefine all of their files, all of their, player saves. And if a player has multiple accounts already on those platforms, which a lot of Division players actually do have. A lot of Division players have. I have accounts on PlayStation. I have accounts on Xbox and PC. I have Ubisoft accounts on all 3. It's going to be challenging to go ahead and implement all of that and try to make sure nobody is like overlapping in their files and their saves after the game has already been released. Now, it is not impossible because Bungie was able to do it. They did it in a way where you were sure that you were going to be linking your accounts from 2 different, places. So they only allowed you to do at the time, Bungie was doing it with Destiny 2. You could only do it with 2 platforms. So I remember at that time when I got Destiny 2 on PC, I just went and linked it with my PlayStation account. And that's how I was able to get, access to the cross-save functionality. And I even did a little bit of cross-play too. It was kind of fun to actually see that system in place after a game had been released. And so I think Gotham Knights has the potential to do the cross-save functionality thing. So if you were to maybe purchase the game on another platform where a friend of yours was playing, you just go in with your progression and your progression goes into a server in that regard. Now, it is logistically tasking, but if they're planning for this game to have a lot of end game at the end, or to have a lot of continuity and longevity, I think it is something that would definitely resonate with the community if they were to go ahead and implement it. There's a benefit to that, because this game seems like, because of the way it's been structured, it could get monotonous after a few hundred hours for some people. Now, if you notice, I don't know if you know, some people have played the Arkham games for many hours. I've played it for almost 300 hours, but I had somebody on my channel yesterday actually tell me that they've played it for 1,600 hours. Look at that. Button Masher Gamer said they've played Arkham for 1,600 hours. Now, Gotham Knights is going to be that game that's designed for that, but the element that would actually make it, in a sense, additive for more people is this co-op side of things. So as a content creator, I'm happy to play a game like Gotham Knights and Suicide Squad, with my audience members as well. But it would be nice if I could actually just get the game on a whole different console, and then all my saves and all my progress would just follow up with it. Because I remember doing it in Division 2, where I actually have two different accounts, and progression was one of the biggest challenges, and time is of the essence in that regard. And so as much as I would love to do it, I'm hoping that the developers implement this system in the game. And I'm certain that there are other people who would actually benefit from this. I don't think it's just me. I think, there's so many people who would love to see this actually put into, action. But again, this is one thing where developers have to kind of start thinking about this capability across the different platforms. Now, if you even think about maybe a crossplay functionality, this is something that Warner Brothers, if they even wanted to do it later down the road, they'd have to navigate a bit through it. And the navigation I'm talking about is, right now there's a heated competition, or a heated competitive environment with the two big dogs, Sony and Microsoft. Something is going on in their ranks. Just recently, there was talk that Sony was paying developers money for not putting their games on Xbox Game Pass, and this is because Sony came out and was like trying to lambast and make Microsoft look bad, and then Microsoft exposed them. So that friendly relationship that you see Phil Spencer dealing all the way on Twitter, where he's congratulating Sony devs, that is a PR and a social aspect of things, like, oh, we're all jolly good friends. But in reality, Sony does not want Microsoft to be able to capture huge portions of the market. And Microsoft doesn't necessarily care as to how they're going to, how Sony is going to deal with things. They're just doing their own thing because they've been on the back foot since the PlayStation 4 generation. And so with all of this in perspective, it's going to be interesting to see how Warner Brothers and their devs and their plans are able to navigate through this. Or maybe they won't even touch it at all in this game, and possibly we'll be seeing it in some other games, say possibly Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, because that game probably seems to me like it will have more of a benefit if you had a cross-save functionality, just because of the way the game is actually built. I know people are saying Suicide Squad is going to be unique. The developer said that, Stephen Hill said that, but hey, not until I see this game, Stephen. The environment has changed. The game has changed since y'all made Arkham City and Arkham Knight and published it. So now you guys going from single player emphases into this multiplayer emphasis. It really does give us this interesting dynamic where we're like, okay, when you drop the game, we'll believe what it is that you said about all of this. But I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Thank you very much for watching the video. I really do appreciate you guys, and hopefully we'll talk soon. Peace out.